It is the 6th day of October, 2025. I'm Darren Smith. He's John Gennaro. John, how was your weekend? Before we get into the sports, you were in Malibu. I care more about that than I care about your thoughts about the baseball playoffs, about college football, about SDFC. How was Malibu?
It was great. It was great. I'm actually wearing a shirt from Ojai because we took a day trip to Ojai as well because it's about an hour up the coast from Malibu. So went and had some lunch there. Couple of my favorite places in California. Loved them. Ate and drank like a pig. Now going straight into diet and exercise to try and counteract that. But it was good. It was good. There was some relaxing and a lot of fun. I probably should have balanced more the relaxing and the fun, but there was a lot of time spent at the beach, a lot of eating at really good restaurants. Best breakfast burrito of my life, again from Lily's in Malibu. I know that's impossible for anyone to believe that it wouldn't come from San Diego or somewhere, I guess in Mexico. But yeah, best breakfast burrito in California. Fight me, Lily's in Malibu.
All right, good, good. Did you go into the ocean?
Hilariously enough, no, half because it was really cold. The water that was warm like a couple weeks ago is not warm anymore, and also because the one thing I forgot to pack was a swimsuit. So
Ah,
we went to the beach a couple times, but I was just sitting there in my Viore shorts, just and like running away from the waves. And my daughter's like, "What are you running from? Like these aren't swim trunks. I don't want to get wet." And she's like, "No, it'll be fine. I'll dry off." But no, I did not go in the ocean outside of dipping my toes in at a couple different beaches along Malibu, which it's been 9 months since the giant like Palisades fire and that went over into Malibu and all that. Boy, half of Malibu is just gone.
really?
And yeah, and
No,
like
no, like nothing being built.
I mean they're still in the like knockdown like destruction phase before they're obviously going to try and build back. There's a ton of for sale signs. Like you can buy land probably really easily in Malibu because everyone whose house burned down doesn't want to deal with trying to rebuild on the beach, which I don't blame them. But yeah, just half of Malibu, like the southern half of Malibu, all the restaurants, all the houses that you normally go past, they're just gone. It gives you a better view of the ocean, but it's also just really sad and upsetting to see that many lives ruined. And at one point, I like looked up on this hill that we were driving past, actually yesterday when we were driving back, and I was like, that looks like that was an entire neighborhood. And there's nothing left except like the rock, like foundations of a neighborhood. And I was like, what is that? And I was like, oh, it's like kind of the western part of Pacific Palisades. I'm like, it's just gone. It's leveled.
Hmm.
Like, and so yeah, there was definitely some of that. Luckily, we were not in the southern part of Malibu, so we drove through that getting there. We drove through it coming out, but outside of that, we were able to kind of avoid it and stick to our usual spots and eat our usual things and have our usual enjoyment and time away.
Okay, good. I love that. That was like the most North County thing that you've ever said. I was just there in my Viore shorts and I couldn't get into the ocean.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, like I'm sure there's no place around there that would sell you swim trunks, but
Oh no, look. Everyone was like, my wife, my daughter, like, you can just go buy swim trunks, and I was like, I don't want to go in the ocean. It's so
I know.
cold.
I
It's
know. I'm going to
freezing cold.
Hawaii and I'm actually like really looking forward to the ocean. I
Yeah.
miss it. You know, it's just
Yeah.
I don't know, man. This Pacific Ocean on the California coast is just it ain't it. For me.
Warm water is where it's at. I was in
It
Hawaii like
is.
a year ago, and every day I was swimming in the ocean like twice a day. Like I'd
I
wake
know.
up in the
It's like
morning.
supposed to rain every day that we're in Waikiki, but
Who
I'm
cares?
like, I don't care. Like my wife's like really kind of she's like, oh, I can't believe it's gonna rain. I'm like, oh, I don't doesn't matter to me.
It's like Florida, man. It's
It's
gonna
fine.
rain. It's gonna rain in the
Every
middle
day.
of the afternoon at some point, but outside of
Yeah.
that, it's great.
I might go see our friend Dylan from Letters to AJ while we're over there. See how he's doing. Just
Yeah,
with no Padres now. How are you doing with no Padres?
it's a little quieter. There's not nearly as much to do. Stress levels are down. Actually, it's weird because it makes it so that there's not a touch point with the Padres every day, and so we haven't had any sort of Padres news since Friday. And like every day, my brain kind of turns on and goes like, "What is going on with the Padres? Are we gonna find
Yeah.
out? Are we gonna find
Why
out what's
why is
going
it
on?"
so quiet over there? What's going
Yeah, what
on?
is
Like
going on?
I don't pay attention to the Padres on the weekends for the most part, but even still, I'm like, well, where is it? Like there is nothing going on in the background. And it is
Yeah.
weird to not have it for the first weekend of 2025.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I also feel like I had a couple people text me, and my therapist actually is a big Padres fan. He was like, I'm grieving for this season. And I kind of been responding to everyone with the way that you and I talked about it the other day, which I was like, this has been an underperforming, frustrating team all year long. They lost by being frustrating and underperforming. Like, we shouldn't have been surprised by this. We shouldn't even be hurt by this. It's just who they were.
Do you care at all about the playoffs? Are you like rooting for or against anybody?
Funny thing is, I thought I would, like, because after the Padres got out, I looked at the remaining series and I'm like, all of these are very exciting series. I don't think I've watched more than a minute or two. Like I flipped
Right.
on I flipped on the last couple innings of the Mariners game last night. Because that, my Twitter timeline, my Blue Sky timeline was going crazy, and I wasn't really watching anything at the time. But no, not really, not really. I'm Craig Elson used to kill me for this, but once the Padres are out of it, even if it's like this is for the World Series, I'm like, wait, there's NBA preseason on. There's so much more fun over there for me in the NBA
Yeah.
preseason than sitting here watching the teams I don't care about.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot happening. I'm with you. I think I'll probably be more interested during the week when there's less conflict, right? When there's less soccer, when there's less college football.
NFL.
Not the biggest pro football guy, but when there's less things happening, like tonight, Tuesday night, I'll probably be more into the baseball.
Yeah,
I
me too.
think. I don't know that I'm seeing anything that I'm like, oh, I've got to watch that. Right? Detroit and Seattle 1-1. Shohei Ohtani pitched. Okay, great. Yankees, Toronto is like murdering the Yankees. So I don't know. Maybe that's exciting to people. I'm not sure. Anyway, this is Section 1904. It is a daily Monday through Friday podcast. It is a website. It is a community. If you would like to support it and subscribe, and I can give you many reasons why supporting independent media is important. So can John. It's hard. Like it's a tough world out there. So we would appreciate any support that anybody could offer. You can subscribe and support this for as little as $5 per month. You get the front row seat, the daily newsletter, you get the podcast, you get access to the website, all sorts of special content. And John, I would say this. One reason I think people should subscribe, not to be self-serving, is your write-up on San Diego Football Club was better than pretty much any other write-up that I've seen. I don't want to start this podcast on a bad note, on a negative note, but man, I'll tell you, the Union Tribune write-up was just I don't know, the lead, the LEDE in the Union Tribune. San Diego FC can no longer win Major League Soccer Supporter Shield. That was the lead in the Union
Hmm.
Tribune. If you scroll down in the story, it says notable. SDFC's 18 wins and 60 points are MLS records for an expansion team.
That does seem notable.
Is that notable or is that the lead? Like, what is I don't even understand what this is trying to accomplish here. Again, I don't want to just do the thing where we just knock the Union Tribune or any other media, but the lead of what happened over the weekend is that SDFC set MLS expansion records. Not that they aren't going to win the supporter shield. I mean, so support independent journalism is what I'm saying. Support independent media like Section 1904. It's as little as $5 a month. John's write-up was a million times better than what it is. People just defer and they're like, oh, the Union Tribune, the newspaper. Don't worry about the newspaper. Come to Section 1904. It's much better coverage. Or if you're not going to do this, go and read what Alex Pena wrote or
Yes.
follow San Diego Punto Football. That is not the right way to do this. That is not the right way to go about doing this. Anyhow, we'll get to SDFC here in a little bit. We mentioned the Padres. Nothing happened over the weekend. I do think, though, one thing that you and I talked a little bit about, I posted it on the Discord channel. People also have access to our Discord channel, which is growing, which is its own living, breathing community, which is great. Jake Peavy, who is special assistant to the CEO of the Padres, Eric Grupner, also an MLB Network employee. I don't know. Are those things in conflict? Maybe. Jake Peavy was on MLB Network and he was put on the spot about Game 3 of the NL wild card, Padres and Cubs. Who should start Game 3? Brian Kenny and Bob Costas are on this set. I mean,
Yeah, Costas being there is very strange.
it's like the most MLB Network thing ever. Like, of course Bob Costas is there.
Yeah.
Why is he there? Nobody knows. But Jake Peavy had some opinions about the Padres' choice to start Yu Darvish in Game 3 instead of Michael King. Should we play this?
Yeah, I'll warn people. This goes for about 3 minutes, but I tried to cut parts of it. All 3 minutes, I think, is very important, both for setting up what Peavy's going to say and then just the continued second guessing that he even calls second guessing at one point. So we'll play the whole thing. If you think it's getting gratuitous, just tell me to stop and I'll stop it. But I'll play this now. Now. I clicked it. Come on. It being a longer file, it might take longer to file up.
Yu Darvish in the Padres elimination game. Padres and Cubs. They had Michael King in the bullpen ready to go. Darvish, look, he's had a great major league career. He's had a lot of failure in the World Series, but he's had success. He pitched great last year against the Dodgers, but Bob, this year, 72 innings, a 5.38 ERA. Did the Padres make a mistake here in starting with Darvish?
I think if King is really on, he's a better bet than this version of the aging, in baseball terms, Darvish.
And King had gotten lit up 3 starts ago against the Mets. However, I think he went, Jake, 5 shutout and then 2 shutout in a tune-up at the regular season, at the end of the regular season. So it looked like he was able to right things. I thought they're doing the Cubs a favor by having Yu Darvish start this game.
I can agree with you here. I think, looking back on it, you want to start stuff. In the postseason, I'm a stuff guy over pitchability. And as you said, Yu Darvish has been an incredible major leaguer for a long time. This season, he is certainly starting to look like he's aging. He's dealt with a ton of injury stuff. So I think with the way you saw it go, Michael King in the stuffs coming in, striking out 3, it probably would have been a better call. I think the numbers of Yu Darvish's career, the Wrigley familiarity, and the success in Wrigley allowed him to get that start.
And then it was just 1 inning of Michael King, too. That puzzled me. As a starter, you're going to go 3-4, get a little more length. I know the bullpen is super elite. Here's what I did like. Estrada coming on in the 6th. Don't wait for, like, leverage in the 8th or 9th when it's not happening. Was it 7th?
Or the 2nd. Estrada came in the 2nd inning.
No, Suarez.
Oh, Suarez in the 6th.
Suarez came in the 6th. I like that. Like, hey, here's our closer, but we're not sitting around waiting for the 8th, 9th inning. We're down 2-0 now. We need to get him in. I like that.
I thought Mike Shildt. I can second guess this decision all day long because I love Michael King so much. I also love you, and I've got some inside intel on how this went down. I think Mike Shildt, outside of that, managed his bullpen brilliantly, as did Craig Counsell on the other side.
Full disclosure, you do work with the Padres.
Right.
The San Diego Padres. Full disclosure. I should have put that out there. Full disclosure. That's what Bob Costas would have done.
Yeah. That was very journalistic.
Yeah, but I expect good analysis from you anyway, but I'm just to put it out there that you work with the Padres. Where was Mason Miller? Like, if you took him out of that game in Game 2, where you kind of risked a little bit, Miller was untouchable, then where was Miller in Game 3?
Miller was going to be in there if the game was tied or we got a lead, but this guy is such a special talent that he needs to be protected. And this...
Saving him for next year?
Him and Morejon. No, we weren't saving him for next year. The situation of the game never dictated that a guy who had carried as much workload as he had and how valuable he is to what the franchise is in the future, to be asked to go 3 days in a row and multiple innings inside those 3 days in a row. I was cringing with Morejon out there, excited, and obviously he could do it, but 80 appearances and 3 in a row? When you're losing, it's very tough.
Let's say I'm with you, but I would have stayed with Miller. I would not have taken him out of Game 2.
It was trying to just make sure he was and could possibly be available for Game 3.
All right. Boy,
So
I mean, listening back to that, it's even worse the second time.
It's
number one,
rough.
Brian Kenny's a disaster. He is a mess. I'm sorry, this guy, he wrote a book where he said, I could manage a baseball team.
Did he really?
I have all the information. I could do this. What's so hard about managing? No, you cannot. And yes, like we all get stuff wrong. I get stuff wrong every day on the show. So it's not that he got Suarez confused with Estrada or Mason Miller. He's like, what are you saving him for? The offseason? Like, let's put that off to the side. I don't think that's the most important thing, but listening back, I'm like, wow. He kind of fumbled all over that one, didn't he? Jake Peavy is there, and Jake Peavy says, like, Yu has had a great career. Like, Brian Kenny says that too. Like, he's had a great career. As if Yu Darvish is ready for the mothballs. You know, like, he's ready for like, just put this guy out the pasture now. Like, he's had a great career. Pitched really well in Chicago, but what are we doing? Jake is like, he says, like, Mike Shildt did a great job managing the bullpen, but, and then he gets taken off the hook. Maybe Jake is just there to make appearances. I don't know. Maybe he's just there to do meet and greets with corporate sponsors in the park at the park. I don't think so, John. I'm told he's in the clubhouse. Like, he's around in the clubhouse. He's involved. And this is a guy now that's on MLB Network saying, essentially, I think we made a mistake and we should have started Michael King. And now people will say, well, yeah, like, he gets paid for his opinion. Yes, he does. But can you imagine anybody who's involved with this organization going public on a radio station locally, coming on this podcast, talking to Kevin Acee on the record and saying, we started the wrong guy in an elimination game? Because I cannot. You want to know why people like me and others have described the Padres organization as a little bit chaotic? That's part of it right there. That just doesn't happen with other organizations where the special assistant, the guy who is a direct report to the CEO, goes on MLB Network and says, we didn't start the right guy.
Yeah, and then backing it up with like, and here's why I think we didn't start the right guy, because I'm a stuff guy and Michael King has the better stuff. And so, like, it's one thing to be like, he made that decision and it didn't work out. It is a completely other thing to show up and go, I wouldn't have made that decision. I would have made the right one. Like, that is, first of all, I'm shielding myself from the cameras here because I already feel shame about this. Why the fuck do we care about Jake Peavy's baseball opinions? Like, why?
Well, somebody does. He gets paid for them. So, everybody can say, like, what do we care what Jake Peavy has to say? But he gets paid for them. So
no, I get it. But does he get paid for them because he's willing to go out there and second guess the manager or make wild predictions? Like, heading into the playoffs, I saw someone was like, oh, he picked Padres and Mariners to win the World Series on national TV. I'm like, it's great. Padres sent him a check. Like, who cares? I don't care what Jake Peavy's predictions are, and I don't really care what his opinions are. Like, I would care what Bruce Bochy's opinions are about this, but I'm not sure why I should care about Jake Peavy's opinions other than MLB Network is like, we know Jake's going to say something that's going to get him talked about on a podcast, and then that's going to get more people wanting to hear Jake Peavy the next time.
I don't know, though. I mean, I don't think that's what it is. I don't think this is some sort of hot take moment. I don't think that's what Jake's all about. I mean, to me, it isn't that he said something inflammatory. It's that he is a paid employee. He is a direct report to the CEO of this team, and he's second guessing a pretty significant decision.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's not that he went and has an opinion or, that he's one of these, countless people that you find on social media who says something. Like, he's representing the Padres there to the point where Brian Kenny even has to circle back and be like, oh, we should point out this guy works for the Padres.
Jake was very taken aback by that. By the fact that it was pointed out, he was like, oh, yeah.
And again, like there are lots of people that work for the Padres. Trevor Hoffman works for the Padres. I don't know what role exactly he has or what his influence is. But like I said, Jake is, he's in the clubhouse.
He's around.
He's around. Like, he's and again, like, we try to describe a little bit what the dynamic is internally. Did Jake voice his opinion to anybody? Like, did he have a voice in what we should do in game number 3? Did he say, like, who does he represent there? Is he representing just Jake? Maybe. Or is he representing the CEO? I don't know. Because you're now putting out there something that has been discussed and I think is fair. I mean, I do think it is fair. It was fair before the game. It was fair after the game to say, I'm not so sure. We talked about it, I think, on Friday. And I said, I wish I had thought more about what's the deal with Michael King. Why was he only capable of 19 innings or 19 pitches? Um, and you know, I didn't have that information. One would presume that Jake does, and you know, I just think it's such an interesting dynamic to be. Now, was it the managers? Because now this leads to this. Well, was it only Mike Shildt? Was it a unilateral decision from Mike Shildt to start Yu Darvish? Because Jake does then start the backtracking thing where it's like, well, I think he did the bullpen stuff was great. And Brian Kenny lets him off the hook. He's like, well, what about Mason Miller? Like, you should pitch that guy till his arm falls off, right? Like, okay. But, you know, he's like, oh, I think he did a great job with the bullpen. And what was missing there was, but kind of screwed this one up.
And he also said,
like,
Brian Kenny also was like, and it's really weird that Michael King only went 1 inning, and now we'll switch to a different subject. Like he didn't even give Peavy, like that's the thing that I wanted Peavy to respond to.
Yeah, same. Like, because that's the question we have. And I don't think anybody's answered that. I don't think anybody's even asked that. Like, what was the deal? Why was this guy only available? Because we all thought like Michael King is going to come into this game, but he's going to give you more than one unless he gets roughed up. And what was the reason behind that? Like, why was that only that availability? We never heard an answer on that. Or at least I haven't. I don't know. Everybody else is more focused on what Manny Machado had to say after the game. God, that thing blew up over the weekend, huh? Jim Rome's tweeting about it. It's insane. Like,
look,
I mean, it's like 20 seconds of a 6-minute session. And listen, if Manny doesn't want to talk to reporters anymore, I will say, as much as I am stabbing my media brethren in the back here, I kind of get it. Yeah. I would get it because that thing getting clipped was, I think, misrepresentative of the overall session. But that's not the point. I mean, I don't know, man. I just think it's like this is such an example of the kind of like behind the scenes stuff that's going on in this organization right now. Like that you have somebody who's a direct report to the CEO, who's also going on MLB Network and saying like, yeah. I mean, imagine if Eric Grupner said that on the radio. Can you imagine? Like Eric Grupner goes on Ben and Woods and's like, yeah, I don't know. You know me, I'm a stuff guy.
I wouldn't have started Darvish.
Doesn't Jake Peavy, to a certain extent, represent the person that he reports to in this organization? I think he does. And everybody knows I've got a great relationship with Jake. But in this moment, can you imagine what that would be like to be the manager of this team and have Jake Peavy saying that sort of stuff on MLB Network? I don't think it's good, John.
Can I tell you, it's funny that you just put it in those terms because what it keeps reminding me of, it's funny that you just mentioned Manny too. What it keeps reminding me of is Manny doing the whole like, hey, if Pivetta doesn't give up 2 home runs, we're still playing. Or like, I know Michael King doesn't love it, but that Sal Stewart home run was pretty cool. Like there's just what did you call it the other day? It's a lack of awareness on Manny's part. Like this is a lack of awareness on Peavy's part. I think if I'm being generous about it, it also could be a like, hey, you know, go out there and tell him that, you know, Shilt's decision to start Darvish was not our decision to start Darvish,
right?
Or whatever.
I mean, you're pinning that on somebody else. Now, was it just the manager? Was it the coaches? Was it the general manager? You know, these questions now, like this is the sort clearly inside of this organization. People disagree with that decision. And now we know it to be true publicly. So that's why it's a big deal. And you could say, well, this is just a product of losing. Yeah, fine, whatever. But now we know there are people in that organization who disagreed with starting Yu Darvish in that game. And I think that is a big deal. Because even if you have a healthy disagreement behind the scenes, which is natural, I brought it up. I remember in St. Louis, 2020, 5 or 6. I think it was 5. No, it was 2006. There was a decision. Should we start Woody Williams or Clay Hensley? And there were people who thought we should have started Clay Hensley. And they started Woody Williams. Didn't work. That was healthy. But nobody went public with it. Nobody went and said on the radio, I don't, you know, after the fact, I don't know, we should have started Clay Hensley. But I know for sure that happened. And I know that, and that's a normal thing. Like, who should we start in this game? This is an important game here. Well, maybe Clay could be better coming out of the bullpen. That's what they went with. Didn't work. I think the CEO of the team, as a matter of fact, I'm pretty sure he was one who thought they should have started Clay Hensley. They left it up to Bruce Bochy. Maybe that was a factor in why Bruce Bochy left after 2006. But still, nobody like went public with it. You know what I mean? Like, nobody went on MLB Network where nobody's watching. How many people are watching this?
Right.
But still, like, it's such a locally noteworthy thing that guy would say that publicly. It just, I'm sorry, like, it does undermine the decision maker. And you know, I don't think Mike Shilt's going to get fired. But John, over the weekend, somebody said, I don't know that he's 100% safe either. So, you know, I mean, who even knows what's going to happen? It's more likely that Preller comes back, Shildt comes back, and maybe you make a change or two on the coaching staff. But that's not a great look for this organization. And it speaks to something that is happening behind the scenes.
And the other side of it, the question left unanswered. You know, heading into this game, there was a tweet from, I think, Dennis Lin, where he said, Nick Pivetta is not doing his normal throw day because he wants to be available for game 3 if they need him. Adrian Morejon, despite pitching the last 2 days, is available today. Mason Miller, despite pitching the last 2 days, is making himself available today. All hands on deck, I think, was the exact quote. It is all hands on deck. Michael King could only give you 19 pitches? Or was that Shildt playing a matchup or whatever? Because when I hear all hands on deck, I don't hear 19 pitches for Michael King. I hear something more than that. And if you're going to throw Adrian Morejon 3 days in a row, I would love to know why that inning could not have been Michael King's instead. I would love to. Probably never get an answer to it, but it's going to eat at me for a couple days.
Jake even says struck out 3 guys in that inning.
Yeah, with his stuff.
All right, construction going on here in Imperial Beach. You might be able to hear that in the background. So we wait, but again, imagine being, and I hate to sound like I'm being sympathetic to Mike Shildt, but can you imagine though? Like, my understanding is Mike Shilt's a pretty, I don't want to say thin-skinned, but he's generally aware of the things that are said and written, right? Like, he's even admitted it, like, oh, I get killed for not starting lefties. Didn't he say that during the playoffs?
He did.
And now he's got the special assistant to the CEO on MLB Network. I mean, I don't know, man. I don't know. A couple things to clean up from Friday. We were talking a little bit about AJ Preller walking around the field at Wrigley. I was told the Padres stayed in Chicago on Thursday night. So
yeah,
there was no charter
tweet about that too.
Oh, we did?
Yeah, from Jake, who I think it was his video. Jake, whose name we still don't know really how to say. I think he was the one who tweeted at us over the weekend at some point. It was like, by the way, they decided to stay overnight in case they had to go to Milwaukee the next day.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, so that was, good cleanup though.
Yeah, like I didn't see that. Twitter, it's weird, John. It just doesn't send me the responses that I'm getting. But yeah, that makes sense. And I've thought about it from 2006 where we all went to the charter. We were going back to San Diego no matter what. The Padres might have been going to Milwaukee, so it doesn't make any sense that they would have scheduled a charter for after that game.
Yeah.
Because if they win, they're going up to Milwaukee where they
right.
Might have gotten murdered just like the Cubs did. But that makes a little bit of sense now when you actually think it through. So, all right, good. Well, Jake got himself a little bit of run over the weekend. Did you see Jim Rome chimed in on the whole Manny Machado answer, like in great detail about his postseason stats and Rackham he had to take?
Here's the thing about most guys on TV or radio, especially the ones who've been doing it forever and the ones that survive off, having a take that doesn't suck. They love a superstar player who has all the attention that anyone could possibly want and all the money that they could possibly want bitching about the media. They love it because then they get to play victims. They get to make the player seem like a victim or a villain, and they can turn to the crowd and go, "Really, guys? Can't we agree that if we were in Manny Machado's shoes, we'd be a lot nicer about this?" It's just it's such an old trope that I saw it once or
I know.
twice since Friday. People just go like, "Really? Like you don't get paid enough money to answer this question?" And I'm just like, "Yeah, come on, we don't need to do that right now."
I mean, I'll say I think opinions are sort of mixed on the editing of that one question. You know,
How
some
so?
think like it's fair. Manny said this and put it out there. This is what happened. Others feel like, I don't know, was this completely representative of the entire session? Sorry. Got to close the door in the background here.
It did get quieter though. You can thank
Yeah.
the wife for that.
Yes. I don't know. I guess it'll fade away. But that's the way Jake clipped that. So
Yeah, it's it is what it is.
it is
Again,
what it is.
I-
Again,
I-
I don't think it represents the entirety of the 6 minutes that Manny gave to everybody.
For
But
sure, it doesn't. But also, like, it is a newsworthy moment. Like, obviously, the news ran with it, and
it's like
sometimes
1,000 retweets and a
Right.
million plus views.
right. And sometimes, like when you're in that position, sometimes you feel obligated to report the thing that is newsworthy, and having video evidence of it instead of just a tweet saying like, "Hey, man, he was not happy with my question." It gets you a lot more retweets and a lot more likes and a lot more follows, and sometimes that's worth something in this
Sure.
industry,
Sure.
good or bad.
Some of the players have gone to social media to thank the fans and all that sort of stuff. I don't know if any of it stands out to you. It doesn't really to me, but anything. Luis Arias has been on Instagram saying, "Hey, we'll get it done next year," which is interesting, I guess. But is it even newsworthy that Mike Shildt and AJ Preller might be back? Like, do we need to hear from the organization that these guys are definitely back? Is that newsworthy, or is it just normal business?
I think we need to hear that they're coming back. In the same token, I understand his perspective is different than ours, but I think I saw a quote from Manny Machado where he was asked about like Luis Ariz and Dylan Cease and who's the other pending free agent that I'm not thinking of.
Michael King.
Michael King, and he said something to the effect
Suarez.
of like, we really hope all those guys are back next year. We hope that this isn't the last time that we get to like wear the same uniform with them and blah blah blah. And like, I guess what's he gonna say? But it just struck me as funny because I saw that and I was like, he definitely is not speaking for the organization when he's like, yeah, I hope all these guys come back. Like that's financially probably not happening.
Yeah, Kevin Acee has suggested that payroll. There's a long story that I think you linked in front row seat. Padres heading to offseason with need to power up for next October. Okay. Who even knows? I mean, it sort of reads like the kind of thing that you just write because you have to write something at the end of the season. Nothing against Kevin. I think he's a good reporter, but I don't know. He sort of suggested payroll is going to go down a little bit. I think to like 160, somewhere in that range,
Weren't they
160,
at
170.
They were at 215 this year.
The parameters under which Preller operated came up after multiple years of exorbitant spending that saddled the Padres with significant contractual obligations. Even with cuts from a high of 256 in 2023, the Padres 211 this season was the 9th largest in baseball. I will say that is fun with numbers, but I think if you were to ask people for the actual numbers, they would tell you that they're probably 10th or 11th. But still, it's in the top third of baseball.
Does he explain why? Because like, okay, they're in the top 10 in payroll in baseball. They're also in like the top 3 in terms of attendance and the top like 5 in terms of ticket pricing. So like, why? What's the reasoning that they have to cut back spending? Because maybe they don't want to give that answer because the answer is like, well, if we had a TV deal, which is their fault, probably that they don't have one. But yeah, I guess I expected the cut in payroll just because I don't think John Seidler is that guy. But I also would love someone to answer the question when they cut payroll or they say we have to cut payroll or we will be cutting payroll. I would love someone to go, why? What about the situation right now is not working out financially for you? Because you have so many people buying your ridiculously overpriced tickets and concessions and beers at Petco Park every single night. You brag about all the sellouts and the best ballpark in baseball and all that. And now you're telling me that this is not financially feasible? I need an explanation for that. And if the explanation is like, hey, Peter Seidler was fine with us running at a deficit and we're not doing that anymore, fine, give that answer. But like just cutting and going like, we need to cut, don't ask why, would drive me insane.
Yeah, and maybe 160 is a little bit dramatic. But he says like clearly under 190. So who even knows? And there's also a significant amount of ink used on Yu Darvish's future. So is he going to retire? Is he just going to walk away from this contract? I mean, we all think that Yu Darvish is a pretty honorable human being, but is he just going to walk away from tens of millions of dollars? I don't think so.
Actually, speaking of which, we can transition out of this if you want. Did you see, I read this because I was looking for the money quote that wasn't there. Did you see what Bob Melvin says he wants to do now that he's no longer manager of the San Francisco Giants?
I did not.
I was hoping it was like, I'm going to hit the golf course and then I was going to, screenshot it and send it to you. No, Bob would like to go manage in Japan. Apparently he played in Japan at one point, really loved their culture and its relation to the sport. And they were asking him what was next for him. And he was like, I've always wanted to manage in Japan, not getting any younger. Seems like it'd be a good time to go over there. And I was like, I don't know, Bob, you might be leaving some money on the table. Maybe he doesn't care. Maybe he just really wants to spend some time in Japan. I wonder how the golfing is there. It's probably great, right?
Probably. It's interesting timing that you said that. I had a conversation with my buddy Phil Nevin over the weekend, and his son Tyler Nevin is playing in Japan. He's playing for the Seibu Lions and loves it. Like, absolutely loves it. Like, it is, Tyler got drafted by the Colorado Rockies. I think he got traded to the Orioles. Bounced around maybe another team or two. But the Lions had not had anybody hit more than 10 home runs in X amount of time, 10 years, let's call it. And Tyler went over there and hit 21 home runs.
Yeah.
And like, he's loving it. Like, he loves it. You make a couple $1,000,000. It's a great environment. We've all seen these games from Japan. So I wouldn't blame Bob Melvin. I'll tell you, by the end of this conversation, I was like, so when are we going to Japan?
Seriously.
Seriously. Like I've known Tyler since he was knee high. So I'm really happy for the guy. He's now like an adult and a dad and good bloodlines, all that sort of thing. But it's funny that you brought that up because I was like, yeah, like I kind of want to go over there. He's gonna re-sign with the Seibu Lions and go play for another couple of years. I think they have an offer on the table for him. So yeah, hey, it doesn't work here for Tyler. Great. Go over there, have a great life. You can get a direct flight out of San Diego. Same thing goes for Bob Melvin. You know who's going to get that job, by the way?
The Giants job?
Yeah. Sounds like Nick Hundley is going to get that job.
Nick Hundley?
Yeah.
I mean, you could have given me 1,000 guesses. None of them would have been Nick Hundley.
I thought Nick Hundley was going to get the Rangers job, but it sounds like he's going to get this Giants job. That's also what makes me wonder, too. Like, when you have Jake Peavy and Mark Loretta hanging around there, I know Mark Loretta wanted to be the manager of the Padres. I know that. He was pretty public about it. So, didn't get an interview. Does he carry a little bit of that? Like, I couldn't even get an interview with this GM. Stay tuned. Anyhow, where were we? Were we still talking about the Padres? Or
we're wrapping up on baseball. Let's talk about a different sport.
All right. San Diego State or San Diego Football Club?
Let's do State.
2 weeks ago, everybody said signature win for Sean Lewis. I didn't push back forcefully. I let everybody roll with the signature win stuff. I think we even used that on the front row seat headline. Sean Lewis gets his signature win. And I said, I don't know. Is beating Cal a signature win? I'm not convinced. I would tell you This was more a signature win this past weekend against Colorado State than the win against Cal. The win against Cal, there was 2 defensive. Is that what a signature win is for Sean Lewis, this offensive guru? 2 defensive touchdowns? I don't think so. 45 points, all of them scored on offense, 541 yards, 6 offensive touchdowns, high passing yardage for a quarterback in the Sean Lewis era. It's only 256. It's not 456, but still, Sean Lewis is known to be an offensive guy, passing and running. That is more points offensively. That is more yards. That is more offensive touchdowns than in any other game in the Sean Lewis San Diego State era. So if you want to say something is signature, I would say that this is more signature than the win against Cal, 34-0. Cal, I could poke holes in Cal's resume if you want. I won't. They've beaten what? They just got rolled by Duke this past weekend. So I'm not convinced. 321 yards of offense, though, against Cal. To me, if that was a signature win for Sean Lewis, then I think we got the wrong guy. This was a signature win because of what the offense did. There's a website called PFSW. I don't know what that is. They were the highest graded offense in college football this past weekend. Higher than Ohio State, higher than your UCLA Bruins. This is a signature win for Sean Lewis because this is what he was brought in here to do. Not have 2 defensive touchdowns like they did in his debut last year. Not to have 2 defensive touchdowns like they did against Cal. Nobody cares. We could get Rocky Long to do that. Sean Lewis was brought in here to innovate the offense. And when you have the highest rated offense in college football, at least according to one of these websites, which I've never even heard of, but thank you to John Schaefer for putting this out there. I don't care how bad Colorado State is. This is what the people came to see with Sean Lewis, and he delivered. So this is the signature win, not that Cal thing. Forget about that. Throw it out. Don't tell me that 2 defensive touchdowns is the signature win for Sean Lewis. Nonsense. This is the signature win.
All right. Apologies to John Schaefer in advance. I'm going to disagree with you. Before I do that, can I just shout out a name I just saw on the box score that I did not notice during the game? There's a receiver or a tight end who had 2 catches for the Colorado State Rams. And remember, Colorado State Rams. This guy's name is Rocky Beers. Just a perfect name for a football player in Colorado. Yeah. Get that guy to the Broncos immediately. I could not disagree more with your this is a signature win for a number of reasons. One, this Colorado State team might be worse than Stony Brook. Like, they were
Division I team.
Pathetic. And by pathetic, I don't just mean they're bad at football. They, I think, must not have watched any film. I could have drawn up a better defensive game plan against the Aztecs. Me, a moron who started following this team like 3 weeks ago, could have drawn up a better defensive game plan to stop this team, and did. You can go back. You can find the clip. I was telling you about Jaden Denegal, and I said Jaden Denegal is one of the most accurate deep ball passers I've seen in a while, but he cannot complete a 7-yard pass. And I turned on this game on my phone because I was on vacation. We were doing other things. I turned on this game on my phone, and the first play I saw, I looked at the Colorado State defense, and I'm like, they have 9 men in the box, and there's 2 wide receivers out there. There's no safeties back. Like, they hadn't even snapped the ball. And I looked, and I was like, they're cooked. What are you doing? You're giving one-on-one to both wide receivers. All Denegal has to do is pick one of them and throw it deep. And as I'm thinking, pick one of them and throw a deep pass, he throws like a 60-yard bomb that lands right in the stomach of Jordan Napier. And boom.
Oh, you think that's easy? Did you watch Texas this weekend? Arch Manning can't hit a wide open guy down the field if his life depended on it. You think it's easy just to hit an open guy down the field, John?
No, I'm telling you, Jaden Denegal can do one thing. One thing. He can throw the deep ball accurately with his strong arm. And Colorado State, unlike other teams who were like, we're just going to put safeties back and tell them to kill us underneath, Colorado State did the opposite. They said, let us see it, Jaden Denegal. You throw perfect balls 40 yards down the field. Show us. Hey, that was cool. Show us again. Hey, that was cool. Show it a third time. And then it got to the point that they started overreacting to it. They were playing cover 3, and at that point, San Diego State's up like 20-something points, and they just started running the ball and getting 7 yards a carry. And like, I get it. Like, Norv Turner taught me this is what offense is. You run the ball to pull them in, you throw it deep to make them go back, and then you start running the ball again. I get it. But man, they did not for a second understand that the quarterback that they were going against had one strength, because they played right into it, and it was really bad. It was really bad. I was watching the game going like, all they had to do was listen to our stupid podcast, and they would have known not to let Jaden Denegal throw to his wide receivers one-on-one down the field. I also think like San Diego State has like one good wide receiver, and it does. I mean, in college football, sometimes that's enough, but they have one good wide receiver. They have a handful of good running backs. The offensive line's okay, and the quarterback loves throwing a deep ball. I actually saw it. So he had 256 passing yards.
Right. The most ever for a Sean Lewis quarterback at San Diego State.
He completed 13 passes, Darren. He threw only 16 times. And
John, they had 541 yards of offense. They've never had that many in the Sean Lewis era.
He threw a 45-yard touchdown pass, a 42-yard touchdown pass, and a 61-yard pass that got them close enough that they could run it in on the next play.
Right.
Like, it was mind-blowing to me how bad and unprepared Colorado State was. Which is the only reason I don't want to call this a signature win. I agree, San Diego State looked great, but I was just watching it going like, Colorado State must have not watched any film whatsoever. It's almost like the coach is trying to get fired. I have no idea who San Diego State plays next, but I'm looking forward to seeing them play a real team at some point. They played Nevada and then Fresno State. Those will be more interesting, I think.
I will stick to what I said. This was more signature Sean Lewis. This is more what I want to see. I don't care that Colorado State is 1-4. They stink. I don't know that Cal's any good, though. Why are you also convinced that the win against Cal was the signature win? Why? Because they beat Oregon State that hasn't won a game? Because they beat Texas Southern? Because they beat a Minnesota team that hasn't beaten anybody? I mean, I don't know. I'm just not convinced. Cal's a bad program. Colorado State might be a bad program too. But at least in terms of the aesthetics, this is why he got hired. He didn't get hired to come in here and have the defense score 2 touchdowns. We've just had 2 coaches that could do that.
I understand.
What's next? Like, oh, they've got a great punter. Oh, they can score on special teams. Nobody wants to see that shit anymore. We're done with that.
They do have a great kicker. The kicker is awesome.
Right. But that's yesteryear. That's Rocky Long era. And I appreciate the Rocky Long era. That's not what this guy was brought in here to do. He was brought in here, John, to have an efficient offense. And according to PFSN College, a site I've never heard of, it was the highest graded offense of the college football week. Not your UCLA Bruins, not San Jose, not Georgia, not UConn, not Alabama, San Diego State. So I've never heard of this site, but I'm gonna take that as proof and support for my argument that this is the signature win that Sean Lewis has been seeking.
I'll agree with you that the Cal one was a little. I'm sending you a picture, by the way, that was in the Union Tribune, along with a story that I linked to on Front Row Seat called 3 Thoughts on the Aztecs 45-24 win over Colorado State. Did you get the picture?
Yep.
Not a lot of people in the crowd there, is there?
No, Friday nights are tough. It's a tough sell in San Diego.
I mean, this is why you were asking the question of why was Sean Lewis writing notes to get people out of work to make it down to this game, and the answer apparently was because they weren't coming otherwise. Do you want to take a guess on what they put down as the attendance?
Announce. I'm gonna say 25,000.
29,000.
Oh, man.
I know.
That's not 29.
No, doing a lot of work there. Doing a lot of work with numbers.
Did they give us a turnstile? I don't know. I don't like focusing on this stuff, but it's more important to me that who was there, did they have a good time? Is the answer yes?
Well, but here's the thing: you score 45 offensive points in front of a home crowd. Like in theory, you've made a fun night, and those people want to come back. Now, the next 2 games are on the road against Nevada, who I looked up is awful, and Fresno State, who I looked up is, I'm just going to say this, probably a better team than San Diego State. They're currently 5-1 and 2-0 in conference play. If they can beat those teams with a strong offense and defense, and they come back, and people are going to be a lot more excited to go to that Wyoming game or that Boise State game at home, because
Probably
they're gonna,
not. Honestly, like people are not going to get excited for Wyoming. Maybe Boise.
maybe Boise. But if you can promise them that this team is regularly going to score 30 plus offensive points, I think more people are going to be willing to buy a ticket and go.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I just didn't feel just because they beat a big four opponent. And I do think that's a big deal because of the finances and, how ridiculously out of whack they are in college football and in college sports. So I think you should be proud when you beat a team from the ACC. Cal is in the ACC, everybody, just in case you've lost track of this stuff. I do think that is significant. I just think this one was more like I could go through that box score of the Cal game and be like, yeah, they scored twice on defense. Even last year when they opened up the season, they scored twice on defense. It's not really why they hired Sean Lewis. I'm sorry. I'm sure people think, well, no, he's a head coach. No, he's an offensive coordinator. That's what we want. They got hired to innovate the offense. They didn't get hired to have some balanced bullshit score on defense and special team stuff. I'm sorry.
That's fair.
Just not
It's fair.
We it's not the way this was sold.
I also don't
Otherwise
think-
you would have just stuck with what you had.
I also don't think they're going to be a very good team, being a defensive team that can't score points. If they can be a balanced team that can do both, they can be a good team, and that's what I'm looking for. That's what I'm hoping for. All right.
Your Bruins, by the way, had a big one.
They did.
What is going on there? I mean,
Jerry Neuheisel magic,
Jerry
baby.
Neuheisel. I love the images of him as a player being carried off the field on the shoulders of his teammates.
Yep.
To him being carried off the field on the shoulders of his players now that he's the interim coach.
I don't even think he's the interim coach, Darren. I'm pretty sure he's the interim offensive coordinator. That's what's so funny about that. He was just calling the plays. Like there's someone else who's the interim head coach. I'm almost convinced of.
He's not. I thought he was the interim.
I thought he was too. He's the one who got carried off everyone's shoulders as they beat Penn State. Here, look. If I look up UCLA head coach, it is.
All
Tim
12
Skipper.
people in attendance stormed the field at the end of that game.
Tim Skipper. Now, all the articles are saying Jerry Neuheisel is setting himself up to be the next UCLA head coach. But I believe this was the game in which he took over offensive play calling.
Okay.
And the offense went from a train wreck to the coolest, most awesome offense anyone has seen since Tennessee last year. And it really worked. It really worked.
The same website or Twitter account that I just cited, PFSW, which I rely on for all of my college football information.
Apparently.
Had UCLA as the third most efficient offense of the weekend. So San Diego State won, Ohio State 2. Ohio State won 42-3, by the way.
With Carlsbad High School alumni Julian Sayin as their
against Minnesota, who everybody was so impressed that Cal beat Minnesota. 42-3, and Ohio State was 2, and then UCLA was 3. So I did appreciate some of the accounts saying or referring to Neuheisel as Joffrey Lannister. I thought that was funny.
It is a lot of blonde hair. It's a lot of very, very blonde
and his
hair
dad
on
was
man.
on the set too, and they were carrying the game. So it's kind of
that was cool.
I will say it was cool. You know who's really close with the Neuheisel family? Going back, like connecting topics, the Hunleys. Nick Hundley. Nick Hundley's dad was a college football coach.
No way.
Yeah, and coached for Rick Neuheisel when they were at Washington. So the Hundley family knows the Neuheisel family very well.
Hell of a weekend for the Hundley family.
I guess. I think this sounds like it's going to happen. So I'd be happy for Nick if it does. All right, SDFC. Do you have anything else? College football?
I have no other college football. Can I ask you like a very, very
Arch
quick
Manning
question?
stinks, right? Is he dime store Chris Sims or Garrett Gilbert? What is it?
I mean, he's halfway through his freshman season, so I don't really know. But I haven't seen a ton of him. What I saw was it seemed like he had everything he just needed to like calm down, like relax a little bit. Sometimes guys get that after they play for a while, and sometimes they don't. But I don't think Texas is playing the toughest competition right now. So
they were at the Swamp in Florida.
I mean, I get the swamp is the swamp, but the Gators haven't been good in years. Very quick question before we go on to soccer. Well, other types of soccer. You went to the Cholos game in Tijuana last night.
I did. We're missing some people.
So my
We had a
question,
group of 7. 3 of them have not been accounted for.
I was gonna ask if you saw Hill Mota, but then I remembered he's at the under 20 World Cup.
Correct. Where he
Okay,
is
so you did not.
leading the tournament in scoring. 3 goals and 2 assists.
Just casually 16-year-old leading the under 20
Yeah.
World Cup in scoring. Okay, so you missed him, but good night otherwise.
Amazing. So much fun. Monterrey came in there. They got a star-studded lineup. Sergio Ramos, Anthony Martial. So they've got some bangers there. Yeah, it was a fun night. Went down with a good group of people. Tijuana's great. Tacos before. Dandy del Sur afterwards. Revolution. Got home probably about 12:30, 1 o'clock. So yeah, we're doing okay. Like I said, we went down with 7. 4 made it back. 3. I guess we'll figure that out.
Oh, I thought we were talking about the Cholos group that was down 3. So you may have lost 3 on the other side of the border. Well,
3 people were. It was one of those nights where we were. 3 people had meetings today, and they're like, "Oh, I just canceled that meeting. Oh, I just canceled my meeting." It's like, "Oh, okay." I was like, "I cannot cancel this podcast. I cannot cancel Behind the Flow, so I cannot do that." Leah could not cancel her meeting, so we were the responsible ones. But it was a fun night, 2-2. I love it down there. I do. I mean, I haven't been down as much as I have been in years past, but they're pretty good. They're pretty good and good crowd. Sunday night, lots of fun. So enjoyed it. SDFC finally, John, I will tell you, full disclosure, I was worried at halftime that we were not going to get to talk about these records. When SDFC is trailing at the half, and you can see what it is that's going on with Houston, and you're in this funk where you haven't won in 3 games, and you're trailing. I was like, I don't know that we're going to get to talk about breaking the all-time wins record, breaking the all-time points record. Maybe we can eke out a draw today, thinking about Saturday, or in a couple of weeks against Portland. But what a bonkers second half. I mean, 4 goals in the second half. 5 total between the 2 sides, and a 4-2 win. Like that was so much fun on Saturday night. SDFC takes down the Houston Dynamo, eliminates the Houston Dynamo, and sets the MLS record for most wins and most points in an expansion season. Whatever it is that happens now, I'm not trying to say that we shouldn't feel disappointed if the team bows out in the first round of the playoffs. I'm just saying there's no way that you can ever talk about this season and say that it wasn't a screaming success based on what it is that they just accomplished. And I was like, man, if we have to go to Portland looking for 3 points, I don't know that I love the chances there, because you're going to get caught in this. Do you play guys? Do you not play guys? But they did it. And Anders Dreyer and Amal Pellegrino, who has to carry the weight, honestly. And I know this isn't playing center field for the Yankees, so I don't want to over dramatize this, but carrying the weight of being a number 9, and a forward on this team where Marcus Ingvartson is not healthy, where Milan Olaski scored 10 goals and then he just went off someplace, which was as controversial as you can get for this, right? Like, I wouldn't say it's a huge controversy, but it was controversial for this level that they said, nah, we're going to send him back to Nordsjælland. And then Nordsjælland ends up selling him the Philadelphia Union, and Philadelphia Union won the Supporter Shield this weekend. So, was he the X factor? Probably. But that you couldn't find a guy to provide any consistency, center mid, and then Pellegrino comes off the bench, replaces Chucky Lozano, which was like, what? We didn't even realize that until 5 minutes into the second half, that he didn't replace Corey Barrett. He replaced Lozano. And he ends up with a goal and 2 assists and man of the match performance for Pellegrino. I felt really good for the guy. Never met him, don't know him, but you can understand, like, this has been a real sore spot for SDFC, is trying to find some consistency there. It's not just local. Nationally, people are talking about, man, they made a mistake, didn't they? They got rid of this guy. They got rid of and to have this guy come off the bench and provide that kind of lift for the club in a record-setting win, I thought was pretty awesome. Like it was a batshit crazy second half, and loved every single second of it. So congratulations to those guys. Waited 30 years for an expansion club, and now you get the most successful one ever during the regular season. I'm not going to tell you and be trite and say it was worth the wait, but there is something to that, I think.
Yeah, big picture. This is spoiling me to the completely rotten. I'm going to expect this level of execution and success out of every San Diego Football Club season until there's not one, and then I'll be disappointed in them. But small picture, as you mentioned, I was kind of doing a little weekend getaway thing, and so we pulled back into the Airbnb. I run in, I turn on the game, and they're starting the second half. SDFC's down 1-0, and I see Pellegrino coming on. And I was like, damn it, I was wrong. Because I said on the podcast that I didn't think Pellegrino was going to get a start. And then I open up, I'm like, let me just review, like, what happened in the first half. I'm like, wait a minute, he didn't start. He came on for Chucky. That's weird. And before I could even like finish that thought, he gets taken down in the box and it turns into an Anders Dreyer goal. And which everyone keeps saying, like, hey, he scored a goal, 2 assists. He also was the one who got fouled that led to the Dreyer penalty kick, which is why I wrote up he in one half, he essentially contributed to 4 different SDFC goals. And Pellegrino was amazing. He was amazing. Like, the funny thing is, and Adrian did a very good job of this. I didn't listen in this game, but in previous games, of saying, like, there's nothing wrong with Pellegrino, but he doesn't seem to be on the same page with Anders, and he doesn't seem to be on the same page with Chucky, and that seems like that's gumming things up. And maybe it was because Chucky wasn't out there, but Pellegrino and Anders really seemed to mesh well in this game. They were, I mean, the Anders goal that was not a penalty kick was essentially them kicking it back and forth to each other until Anders was like, all right, now's the right time. Boom. And did Anders set him up with? Did Anders get an assist on Pellegrino's goal too? Do I have that right? Did he have 2 goals and assists?
I think so.
I just thought that the two of them played so well together, and I don't know what happened.
No,
but
Yepe got the assist.
Yep, I got the assist. I don't know what happened. Maybe there's a story here. Maybe they just woke up. Anders Dreyer went from the last month looking tired to not looking the least bit tired anymore. Maybe it's because they had a full week with no game or whatever, but Anders didn't look tired anymore. And I have to shout him out. I have to. I think he was almost as important to this match as Amal Pellegrino. Luca De La Torre did not look tired anymore. He looked aggressive. And every time he got the ball in the midfield, he dragged it up to the front line. And every time he did that, the defense freaked out and either left Anders open or left Pellegrino open or left Alex Mighton open when he came on. And it was just creating things. And he ends up getting a goal out of it. So incredible game by Pellegrino. I think that had to have been a big exhale of relief from the coaching staff of like, okay, this is the guy we thought he was. We just have to figure out a way to do this when Chuky's on the field too. Or maybe Pellegrino just becomes a super sub or whatever. Great game by Dreyer. Incredible performance by Luca De La Torre. And, as per usual, I thought Manadua was amazing. I thought Yepe was amazing. And you could tell that they are now getting more comfortable with the idea of occasionally taking one from the back line and kicking it down the field and trying to set someone up on the other side just to spread the defense out a little bit. It's a thing that they were so adamant they didn't want it to go anywhere near. And you can see now when the defense gets a little cluttered, there's like, all right, just launch one and we'll figure it out from there. And I like that. I like having these different looks to be able to throw at the defense. It's just great game. Great game. And a really exciting game too.
Yeah, I thought so. Again, I don't know what it is about SDFC and Houston, right? These 2 games, 4-3 at Snapdragon Stadium, 4-2 at Shell Energy Stadium. Gave up a goal in the 10th minute of stoppage time here, which was the latest goal ever allowed. Scored the latest goal ever in the 12th minute of stoppage time. So, again, in the brief history of San Diego Football Club, it was back and forth. Like, this is what I always say about, like, what is a great game? It's not necessarily a great finish. It's like back and forth, right? 1-0, 1-1, 2-1, 2-2, 3-2. They're trying, end up scoring 4-2. Gave up what Chris McVay would call a, quote, shit goal, since that's the exact term that he used. Gave up another shit goal late, and then figured out a way to score, to go ahead, and then put the cherry on top at the end of it. So, I mean, it just had a little bit of everything. And I thought it was the right call to go with Corey Baird. He had played in Houston. So, he had just won a U.S. Open Cup 2 years ago in 2023 in Houston. So I thought it was the right call. And Mikey talked about it. It was a theme during the week. What are you trying to get out of this number 9 position here? So he talked about it. And again, the decision, we didn't recognize it, I will say, full disclosure on the broadcast. We did not. I just saw Pellegrino coming in and said he must be coming in for Baird. Did not realize until 5 minutes into the second half that he came in for Chucky. After he won the penalty, I think, is when we looked and we're like, oh, wait, Chucky's not in this game, is he? So I don't know what that's about. We were told, we asked the PR team, we said, hey, what's going on here? Is there something that we can relay to the audience? And they said, nope. Mikey said it was just a tactical decision to take Chucky out of the game. So maybe that has to do with minutes. Maybe they didn't like that shot that he took from 40 yards out, which was not great. Also, I would just toss this. He's also on a yellow card suspension. So one more yellow card and he gets suspended for the Portland game. So maybe they thought, this guy's running hot. He's been fouled 4 or 5 times in the first half. He was
we
pushing
might need
players.
him for the Portland game.
We need him. We might want this guy for the Portland game.
Yeah.
Because who knows what the stakes are going to be then, John? I don't know. I mean, that could be for the Western Conference. It's not going to be for the Supporter Shield, but
Also
it could
true.
be for the Western Conference. Vancouver's going to have to play this weekend. LAFC is going to have to play 2 games without Boanga and Son. So that's a big deal because it's weird the way this league works. They're getting kind of punished by having to play games during the international break because they were in CONCACAF Champions Cup and because they were in the FIFA Club World Cup. So now they got to play these games when most teams are off and their players got called up. So they're going to have to play without their most important players against Toronto and at Austin, which is a playoff team. But it was fun. It was just a lot of fun. Like you said, there was a lot of good storylines there. Luka, like you said, Luka coming off and he came in the 84th minute. Luka hasn't had a goal since May 31st. That was his last shot on target. So it's been a long time.
He scored in his first minute. First minute.
Just came on and Houston's defense was cut wide open. So, they took advantage of it. And it was good to see them play in that kind of style because we were saying at 3-2. We were saying at 2-1. You might want to try a third here. I think your best bet for trying to pick up these 3 points is not to try to defend 2-1, but try to go for 3-1. Then they give up the goal and it's 2-2 and you feel like an idiot. But then, you found 3-2 and then you found 4-2. So, their best defense really was taking advantage of what Houston was giving them. So, again, who knows what it's going to look like in a couple of weeks. Guys are getting flown all around the world. Patty McNair's gone. The under 20 guys are still in Chile. Anders is going to Denmark. I think Chucky's off to the Mexican national team. So, guys are going to get drawn all over the world.
De La Torre going somewhere? Is the U.S. team playing somewhere?
No, Luka didn't get called up.
Okay.
So he's not in this window. I think Valakari got called up to Finland. But yeah, what a way to set the record. That was just a great, it was such an SDFC way to set the record too. By scoring late and then adding another one, adding a 4th one in the 12th minute of stoppage time. That's the way that SDFC should have set the record. Not sitting back and defending, but actually on the front foot trying to score more goals. That's the way they played all season. That's when they've been at their best. I don't know that this stat means much of anything, but 12-0-1 now, 12 wins, no losses, 1 draw when Anders scores. Is that causation or correlation, John? I don't know, but it sounds good when it comes out of your mouth. So yeah, I was pretty proud of that one. Yeah, I just thought it was a lot of fun, and congratulations. I never would have imagined that we'd be sitting here first week of October talking about home playoff games and setting MLS records for wins and points in a season, which to me, it's already a success no matter what it is that happens. Of course, it's going to hurt if you get eliminated. I want to see them playing on December 6th, which is the date of the MLS Cup. But if that doesn't happen, it'll hurt. It'll sting. It should. But how could you argue that this hasn't been everything and more as advertised for SDFC?
I remember chatting with a friend of mine who was living in Las Vegas, and he was a hockey writer, and so when the Knights started up, he started writing about the Knights, and I met with him, I think heading into the NHL playoffs. I happened to be in Vegas for something, and we had lunch, and I was like, "How lucky are you that you get a major league tier team, and you don't even have to go through the bad stuff. You don't even have to go through the bad coach who, you picked because he needed an opportunity, but he wasn't actually good enough. Or the guys that you had to take in the expansion draft that the other teams didn't want, and then you lose and you got to find your way and find your identity." I was like, it's day one, and you guys already know who your coach is, who your front office is, who your core players are, who your next round of core players are going to be. And it's you can't ask to be in a better position than SDFC is in right now. And that's lovely. I have enjoyed every moment of this season, and I'm going to continue enjoying it, hopefully all the way to and through December 6th.
Absolutely. Totally agree. So we'll take a break on that one. They'll be off this week, but they will decision day in Major League Soccer on October 18th at Portland, which we'll talk about more in the next couple of weeks. John, enjoy the rest of your Monday. I got a packed week for you. As mentioned, I'm going to do a little bit of traveling, but we still will have podcasts every single day. Thank you for your support. Thank you for subscribing. Section1904.com. Find us on social media. We put the clips out there, and you can always track us down with all the things that we have happening. See you on the Discord. John, have a good rest of your Monday.